What does it feel like when you finally see your name up there?
You know, to be influenced by these things, power, money, prestige, I think those are very superficial things. I think those things don't last. I think, you know, you stepping out of your comfort zone, and that is really important.
She said that everybody is a front bencher in their own interest, and everybody is a backbencher in, you know, areas that you're not interested in.
And he said, you know, when he heard my news, he had tears in his eyes. And I was just, wow. This time one of the essays that I wrote in section A was a famous Instagram caption. This was one of the questions, you know. When I started preparing for UPSC, I also fell in love with the exam because I did not see it just as an exam that is testing my, you know, intellectual capacity.
एफोर्ड गर्न सक्दैन कोचिङ मान्छेकोमा के एउटा फोमो हुन्छ हामीले कोचिङ गरेनौँ भने हामीले पास हुन सक्दैनौँ हामीले गर्नै सक्दैनौँ भने त्यसको बारे चाहिँ कसरी डिल गर्नु होला
Were you a popular kid?
No, I was a very shy kid in school.
Let me humanize you, yeah, because there's a tendency to believe that somebody like Jayasree the robot wala bhanera.
So what I did is I didn't put this exam on this pedestal, you know, that I can't clear it. No.
Yeah,
why not, you know?
Obvious question. 11, 12 ko marks kasto thiyo ta ICSE and ISC. So my personal experience with Loreto girls is they are introvert until they meet other Loreto girls. Yeah, then you become extremely loud. In college.
In school, I used to debate, you know, in ISC fests and all that.
Really?
So yes, I think an introvert or a shy person doesn't mean that, you know, you are somebody who is not confident.
The moment she opened her mouth, I was like, hey, Bhagwan.
When you go out to a city, it's a clean slate. In the sense, your competition is not the rest of them. Don't compare yourself with others at all. Their journey is their journey.
What motivated you to choose foreign service? Because there were options to choose public service as well as administration. So what motivated you to choose foreign service?
You know, I heard this lovely story about this young lady who, when she was in class 5, wrote an essay about how she wanted to become a civil servant, an IAS officer. And lo and behold, a few years down the line, she not just cleared the UPSC, but she also secured an All India rank of 52. She was also the Bengal topper. Today, we have that opportunity to interact with her. You know, I met her a couple of days ago at an event in Darjeeling, and I must admit, I have not met anybody more impressive than Jayasree Pradhan. So join us on this lovely conversation, guff, as I would like to call it, with Jayasree, and talking about the journey she has taken, the challenges that she has overcome to reach the spotlight. This is a question that I asked you the day we met. We met a few days ago at a award ceremony that I think was only for her. But and I asked Jayasree that question because UPSC is a national obsession. No? Everybody has given it at one point, even I have. And I mentioned to you that the entire battlefield is, you know, laid with the dead souls of those who have given. What does it feel like when you finally see your name up there?
It's something that I can't really pinpoint the feeling. At the moment, you feel surprise, like pleasant surprise, obviously. It's like, oh wow, finally I've made it. And especially, Zabat, you list, ma'am, you know, when you see, is it fine if I speak in?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So when you finally see your name, that too on the front page of the PDF. So it's a very wonderful feeling. And then after it catches on, it takes a while for it to sink in, to be honest. Because as soon as the name is out in the list, you start getting calls from everyone, and everyone, you know, they start congratulating you. So for them, it's sunk in, but for you, it still takes some time for that feeling to sink in that, oh, I've really made it. So only after, I think, a week or so do you start believing the fact that, okay, I'm here and this is going to be my life now.
You know, I know it's been quite some time since, you know, I sat for the exam. But ask you, you know, the result, rank also, as soon as you know, you see your name, is your rank also there?
Yes. So
you knew you were 52?
Yes, I knew I was 52. So there are two lists that come out.
Okay.
the immediate list, it comes out with just the name and the rank.
Uh-huh.
And then the second list, it comes out with the marks of the mains
Uh-huh.
and then the interview marks.
All right.
So, and the final marks. But the initial one, it just comes out with the rank.
I want to, अब यो त तपाईँले जे भन्नुभयो त्यो त भन्ने कुरा पनि हो, सरियल फिल हुन्छ के हुन्छ. I want to get a human reaction out of you, क्या? हुने साथ तपाईँले के गर्नुभयो फर्स्ट? आमा बाबालाई भन्नुभयो?
हुने साथ, to be honest, I was just like that. I was just shocked immediately, I know, and surprised.
I can't imagine why not.
And my father was there, chomai hununtyo, ani he had a very, what do I say, a very normal reaction. He said, I always knew you could do it. And he shook my hand and he left. And so that
hero moment.
And then my mother came after a while, and Amma she was so emotional and she was crying. I thought I would cry, but my mother was crying more than me, and I think it was a lovely moment.
Yeah.
And Tata, my sister, she was one of the first. After my mother, I called my sister.
Okay.
And she was very excited. So immediately she said, I'm coming to India for you.
Wow.
So that was.
Wow. I don't know. I don't remember when was the last time my mother cried for me. Yeah. हिजो त केही त भन्दै थियो कुनै के बजारबाट के ल्याइदिन भनेर. But anyhow, so your sister is you have one sibling, is it?
हजुर. So my sister right now, she is in France.
All right.
And she's working in Luxembourg.
Oh wow. All
yes,
right.
She's working in Luxembourg in ArcelorMittal company.
Uh-huh.
She's working as a value creation specialist.
Achha.
So she's doing very well in her private sector. She's a very successful person.
Everybody is here for you.
Yes.
I'm here for your parents. के चाहिँ गर्नु भयो यस्तो डरलाग्दो दुईजना छोरीहरूलाई यस्तो सक्सेसफुल बनाउनु भयो.
हजुर.
I mean, it must, I'm sure the whole extended family must have then sort of, come and.
Very
right?
much, hai. Aune bitike lots of khadas and congratulations and people calling. I think the best part of it though was even people that I didn't know, especially Darjeeling ko mancheharu je yati zyada, I think my victory felt personal to a lot of people, and it's a very touching feeling to be honored that way. Aaj pani ekjana, there was an old person sitting next to me, and he said, when he heard my news, he had tears in his eyes. And I was just, wow, it's such a big thing. I did not know then, that it would feel so personal to so many people. So I feel very fortunate.
No, I don't mind saying it felt personal to all of us. And I also don't mind admitting to you that after I saw your name there, that was at 52 rank, I actually played that Shah Rukh Khan ko that Biwa Tera Rang, Tija Tera Rang Tha Main To Banne, that scene, because so many people from our region have attempted this exam, right? And so many of us have failed. And to see somebody who's, because there's a difference between you and pardon me saying this, but between you and Ashwardhan Shingla. Ashwardhan Shingla may be from Darjeeling, but he's educated at Mio and Stevens. But you are completely from Darjeeling, aren't you?
Yes.
You were educated where? I know, but I still want you to say.
I was educated in Loreto Convent, Darjeeling.
All right.
Yes. So I had my entire education up till class 12 in Loreto itself. And then
Fun
after
memories
that,
of Loreto?
yes, I went to Bangalore. Very fun, good memories of Loreto. I think that was my foundation building years. So in that way, it was good.
I don't know if any of you have heard this very popular. There's a story going around that I want to confirm today. Yeah, is it true that class 5 you had written you want to become IAS officer?
It is true. It is true. Actually, I had my grandfather.
Okay.
And my grandfather, he came from a very humble background. He came from Saurini, Mirik.
Mm-hmm.
And he was self-educated.
All right.
And he served as an inspiration for me. And then he went on to educate himself.
Oh, wow.
Despite having not, a very formal education, he did not really have a formal education. He went on to become the Provident Fund Commissioner.
Okay.
So very high post, and he really fought for the rights of the people in Darjeeling. I think he also fought for the tea garden workers,
That's
if I'm
so
not
amazing,
wrong. So
huh?
he was a wonderful person.
Huh.
He was a tower of strength and discipline and all of that. And I think when he was working, I think he had the opportunity to work with a lot of officers.
Uh-huh.
Which is why, he was so adamant on people of Darjeeling clearing exams and getting to high posts.
Uh-huh.
So in a way, he had put that idea. The idea was there because of my grandfather. Obviously, later on, I it became my own idea when I did college and everything. But at that moment, the idea was put there by my grandfather. So during that time, I had written an essay. Sir Dipankar Basu, who was the CSAC,
Legendary Dipankar
yes,
Basu.
the legendary Dipankar Basu, who used to treat us like his own, me and my sister. So he was very kind to us, and he had made us write an essay on what do you want to become when you grow up. So I had written an essay on how I want to become an IAS officer when I grew up.
She wrote IS officer in class 5. Vivek and I were discussing that we wanted to become what? India cricketer, right? that didn't work out for either of us. So. If I may just take a quick detour from, I'm not detour, another slight derivation from here. I want everybody to see what it takes to succeed. Yeah, like a lot of, this is, you cleared in your first attempt, is it?
So this is my second attempt, but
Okay.
technically it's my first serious attempt because the first one was just after 4 to 5 months of preparation. And that's not enough, for this thing. So,
but if you think about it in a certain way, the process begins the day she decides that I want to do it. Right? So, एक दिनमा भएको कुरा हैन नि त के कुरामा एक दिनमा त फल्दैन नि त है त्यसलाई खन्नु पर्यो त्यसमा रोप्नु पर्यो. So it's such a long process that you have overcome, isn't it?
Yes.
And if I may, in this, just if you could just tell us a little bit about if your grandfather is still around or.
No, he passed away a couple of years
Oh,
back.
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
But I'm sure हेर्नु त हुँदैन होला
Yes,
है
I'm sure he'd be very proud and
of you
happy.
and your father, right?
Yes, for sure.
For sure,
Yeah.
right? If I may just, and we'll get into the technical bits about what to study and what not to study, which I'm sure everybody is here for. But I want you to take more than just that lesson. त्यो त तपाईहरुले सायद तपाईको अनलाइन तपाईले हाल्नु भएको छ है?
हजुर छ मेरो एउटा Vision IAS को टपर स्टक छ कि and I think it's already gotten some 40,000 views or something. So
Alright.
a lot of people have already watched that video
Alright.
and I have talked about in detail about my preparation and what books I read
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
It's
we are,
already there.
this video is not getting 40,000 because we don't have that kind of reach, right? Game छैन. But I also want everybody, त्यो त मैले जस्तो उहाँले भन्नुभयो त्यो त already छ तपाईहरु त्यहाँबाट हेर्दा पनि हुन्छ. But she'll talk, I'm sure
Yes,
you
yes.
talk about it. But I want you to take more of the human side of her. Yeah. You know, there is a beautiful thing that she said the day we spoke on the panel together, and it was so impressive. Yeah. You said that you fell in love with the process, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I think it's so important to like what you do. You mentioned before about how, UPSC is a very overhyped exam. In a way, I do agree with it. It is an overhyped exam and it has been a dream of everybody wants to write UPSC someday or the other. But the thing is, if you're preparing for such a difficult exam, please don't, but whatever it is that, not just UPSC, anything that you do in life, because everything is competitive these days, it's not just UPSC. Whatever it is that you do not do it just for the sake of doing it. Just because the society is expecting you to do it, and, just because it's a prestigious job or something, because those were not my reasons. My reasons were genuine. I did want to write this exam because of the initial interest, the initial inspiration, I would say, that I got from my grandfather, and later on I genuinely developed an interest for foreign service, because in college I was an active debater. I used to participate in Model United Nations, and I had international law as a subject, and I fell in love with this idea that I want to serve my country, and in what way. And that is the starting point, like he mentioned. But then when I started preparing for UPSC, I also fell in love with the exam, because I did not see it just as an exam that is testing my, intellectual capacity. I think that's a very generic way to put this exam. I don't think it does it justice. I think UPSC is an exam that tests your courage, it tests your patience, it tests your perseverance, and it tests so many other qualities, especially mains. I mean, I'm in love with mains because mains really test your creativity also. You have to be creative in this exam. So I think, whenever I speak about this exam, sometimes I get a bit passionate about it because I did have an interest in UPSC, and I think that is what got me to this point. I enjoyed the process. I did.
No, I don't think anybody has said I love the mains go exam because mains was where everybody gets scared. But that also tells you that you do what you're passionate about, right?
Yes.
And there's one line that I would like to quote from Jayasree. It's a line meant to sort of get back at me because I sort of took a pot shot at her. She said that day, if you don't mind me saying
Yes,
it,
yes,
right?
definitely.
She said that everybody is a front bencher in their own interest, and
Yes.
everybody is a backbencher in areas that you're not interested in.
Exactly.
Ultimately, what you're saying is if you're interested,
Yes.
then it becomes very simple.
Yes.
That exam just सबैजना डराएर है हताश खाएर सक्छु सक्दिनँ भनेर. I remember one of my students, I will not name who, I said UPSC को लागि पढ्नु नि. That person got angry with me. Yeah. What तपाईँले अब as if I'm making fun of the I was like, अरे calm down क्या, एउटा फेरि केस लाग्छ भन्ने डर पनि हुन्छ हो. Sorry. But you're saying कि once you're in love with that, then it's not that big bad bear, the UPSC exam.
I think, obviously when I say I was in love, that doesn't mean that it was easy. That doesn't mean that it was easy, or that doesn't mean that it was simple in the sense, but in a way it humanized the process. Because what we do is when we look at difficult exams or difficult things, we tend to put it on a pedestal, especially exams like UPSC, it's impossible to crack. So we tend to put it on a pedestal. And I think it's very important to also humanize not just the people who clear the exam, but also the exam itself. So say that, okay, let's see what this exam is all about. And I remember, the essay paper, the reason why I'm saying that mains is, for me at least, it was a fun process because mains, in essay, you have to write essays. And this time one of the essays that I wrote in section A was a famous Instagram caption. This was one of the questions, not all not all those who wander are lost, or something like that, right? And this is an Instagram caption of so many people. And this was a question, this was an essay topic in UPSC, and I took that topic. And then the second topic I found very interesting, the essay topic. It was a society that has justice does not need charity.
Wow.
Such a thought-provoking, quote.
Absolutely.
So it makes you think, and when you listen to these things, it feels like, okay, wow, it's quite interesting. And even if you look at the questions, they don't ask you very, very difficult, very technical questions. They ask you things like, how can you make, in very simple terms, but essentially, how do you make the Indian economy better? Or, what do you do about the center-state relations in polity? Things like that. Obviously there are also very complicated technical questions, but especially in the general studies paper, because it is general studies, it's not supposed to be technical, they ask you things of general interest. So in that way, it is a bit fun, to prepare for this exam. So what I did is I didn't put this exam on this pedestal, that I can't clear it. No.
Well said.
Why not,
Well
So I think that's important.
No, I wasn't cutting you off.
Yes, no, but I think
that's what I was doing.
Yes, but I think that was the point, don't put whatever it is, even if it's not UPSC, whatever it is, don't put it on a pedestal. Just humanize the exam.
Can I just sort of, I don't mean to mansplain, but that part that she said, I want all of you all to take it in, that humanize your challenges,
Yes.
गर्ने त कोही मान्छे नै त हो, right?
Exactly.
And once you humanize this challenge, let me humanize you, because there's a tendency to believe that somebody like Jayasree त रोबोटै होला भनेर. अब हामीलाई त्यस्तै लाग्थ्यो नि त, हैन यसको जिन्दगी त अर्कै भयो होला भनेर, right?
Yes.
So if you don't mind, can we just talk about how school was for you? Let me ask you a very common question. Let me ask you, not common to bandina, but let me ask you a very lay question, right? Were you a popular kid?
No, I was a very shy kid in school. I was very shy and I kept to myself. I was a very introverted sort of person in school. I wouldn't say I was popular. I would say I was that shy kid. But I think I really shone, and I went, I got out of this shell in college. So college is where I would say maybe that, I wouldn't exactly call it popular, but I would say that, people did know me by name because I used to participate in so many activities. But I think a lot of people are also going to relate to this fact that, some of us are quite shy in school and all of that. But that doesn't mean that, you can't become somebody when you grow up, and you can't be outspoken. I do so many speeches these days. Everywhere I go, I'm asked to give speeches. I have to publicly speak out. You get used to it and you don't have to worry about it. Because I get this question a lot, especially for interview preparation. So many people have asked me, I'm an introvert. I can't speak. And I'm like, no, there's a difference being in being an introvert and being able to speak. Why are you equating being an introvert with not having the ability to speak? An introvert or a shy person doesn't mean that, you are somebody who is not confident. It means that you are somebody who likes your own company, who probably doesn't have that much of a social battery. But that's it. That doesn't mean that you're not intelligent enough, or you don't have the capacity to speak to people and to hold an intelligent conversation. In fact, most of the shy people that I know, they have such interesting thoughts. So don't hold that mistaken belief that you can't appear for interviews if you are a naturally introverted person.
Every time she speaks, it's like a mic drop. That day when we were together at the panel, I had the Sane Katie sir. I am going to outspeak her. I have to The moment she opened her mouth, I was like, hey Bhagwan. I actually opened my topi. I was about to put my Nepali topi back. She said, no loudness, no loudness. But each thing that you said, right? I mean, about being an introvert, and I'm sure so many of you guys can relate, right? Na? So my personal experience with Loreto girls is they are introvert until they meet other Loreto girls. Yeah, then you become extremely loud. but I mean, it's something that everybody can relate to,
Yes,
isn't it?
yes.
Right? I mean, introverted people can't speak. Acha, school mata, you said you did Model UN, right?
I did that in college.
In college.
In school, I used to debate, in ISC Fest and all that.
Really?
So, yes, I think
But I'm correct. Go on.
No, I did elocution in school, and I mean, I have to thank my teachers for that they saw something in me,
Yeah.
and I did elocution, and I think I did one ISC Fest also, which we did win, by the way. So it was great. But like I said, I came truly out of my shell in college, where I participated in a lot of debates, months, and all of those things, moots. For me, it was not just about the competition. It was, when our college used to, conduct these sessions, we had to go outside. So I have been to Hyderabad, I've been to Pune, I've been to Kochi. So I've traveled. So for me, it was also sort of an excuse to also travel. Obviously, the competition was there, but I could also travel, for that reason. We used to stay one extra day because the college would reimburse the funds.
Okay.
So we could stay for one extra day, and we would also get our attendance. So it used to be quite fun.
The attendance
yes,
bit?
Yes.
Okay. No, but let's go back to IC Fest. where was it hosted? St. Paul's as usual, or?
No. At the time, it was hosted in our school.
Oh, Loreto?
Yes. But this
Okay.
was when I was in, because I don't know, for some reason, I don't exactly remember, we didn't have an IC Fest when I was in class 12. So when the previous years, our seniors, they were having their fest.
Yeah.
So I was in class 11.
Yeah.
So at the time, they called me to, be a debater.
So it was hosted in.
It was hosted in Loreto.
No wonder you won. Sorry, that's a very IC Fest politics. Okay, every time somebody loses in IC Fest, we all say ki host.
It's just
So
that.
I didn't win. That's why I asked why na. She won. ये सब St. Paul's को गलती रही यार. But this is you studied in Loreto, because back in my time Loreto was only up till class 10,
Yes.
right? And then 11, 12. So you studied till 12.
Yes, I studied till 12.
So that's many years. So Loreto plays a very sort of
Very important role. I think what Loreto gave me is honestly so many things, but I would like to pinpoint the love for reading. Because I remember, in class, when we used to have these library sessions, we used to have this library period. I used to go and I used to try reading books, and for me it was so interesting. For me, it opened a portal into reading, and I used to read a lot of storybooks. And honestly, I didn't read any serious books. I don't think a lot of students do, and I don't think they have to, especially when they are young. Just get into the habit of reading. I remember reading a lot and really liking it, and I think this is what I have carried with me to this day. And obviously now I read more complicated books. I have ventured into non-fiction and other things. So, but it started with the love of reading, at a very young age. I think what it also gave me was wonderful teachers. I'm very grateful that my teachers always, they believed in me, and they've seen the best in me. And last time I was called back to my school, I was felicitated there, and I could see, how emotional they were. And in fact, a few teachers that I've known for many years, they had tears in their eyes when they were speaking to me. It was very touching, and I think I felt very honored for it. Yes. So my teachers, all of that, and my friends, see, because I already said that, I was a very introverted introverted sort of person, especially in school. So I had a very few friends in school. But these friends, even though they are so few, we are still friends to this very day. That has not changed. So sometimes what happens is when you're very popular or when you have lots of friends, you lose touch. So by the time you're at this age, you don't know anybody, even though you had so many contacts. But because I had a close circle, we are still close. We are still a close circle to this day. So I think that is something that
If I and I don't mean to summarize your life for you, or summarize even what you've said, but still I'll try. Is that what two things that again just for my students here,
Yes.
that two things I really want you all to remember is the two very important lessons that she just said. One is the importance of loving what you want to do.
Yes.
Secondly is the importance of having very good support system, friends,
teachers
and
yes,
family, isn't
family,
it?
Yes.
And without them, well, they don't become Jayasree Pradhan, right?
You don't have to become Jayasree Pradhan.
Mic drop again, no? I think I should reconsider this career as a podcaster after this interview with you. All right. So we've been in Darjeeling so far, and now you decide to go. Then you apply to colleges.
Yes.
Obvious question. 11, 12 को max कस्तो थियो तपाईको? ICSE and ISE.
ICSE I scored 91% and ISE I scored 94%. So that was there, but I've been told that ICSE and ISE is, the marking is a bit more lenient than CBSE, or I don't know what it is. So, and I'm grateful I got those scores. Let's just say that.
All right. Yeah. And once you're done with the ICSE, you want to, where did you want to go to? Was Bangalore your first choice, or did you want
No, I really wanted to go to Bangalore. I think you stepping out of your comfort zone, and that is really important. Going to a city, because you become a different person, and what happens is in your hometown, people know you, in a different way. You're that shy girl, you're that introverted girl, you're that very quiet kid, who does the homework on time. But when you go out to a city, it's a clean slate. You can define yourself any way you want. And Bangalore, I really wanted to go to Bangalore. Number one, because my parents were okay, they were very familiar with Bangalore. And number two, the weather. Honestly, the weather is quite pleasant. So I really wanted to go there, and I think it was a game changer for me going there. I think it really helped me in a lot of ways.
You'd really suggest people to at least get out of this place?
Yes, I think people should, because when you leave, your hometown, you should come back to your hometown to serve. But you also should get experience, of the city life and how people, and to be open to diverse views and opinions and diverse sets of people from different states and their cultures. It really broadens your minds and your perspectives on a lot of things.
I wonder if you said this in confidence, or you just said it, and if it is in confidence, let me know, we'll cut it as if one way. But you said that a lot of people wanted you to get into medical, isn't it?
Yes.
And you said you want to go into law.
Right. So because I was a science student and I'd gotten 94%, so obviously there was also a lot of pressure on me to pursue science, and to become a doctor. And I've always said this, being a doctor is a wonderful profession, and anybody who wants to go for it, please go for it. I really respect that. But it's not a profession for everyone. And just the same way, UPSC is not for everyone. If somebody says, I don't want to do it, don't do it. You don't have to do it. I already talked about the societal thing. You shouldn't do it because of the societal pressure. So, so when that pressure was there, to become a doctor, and I didn't really want to become a doctor, to be honest. So I had to say no. I had to say I'll do something else. And for some reason, I picked law. It was such a different field that I was choosing. And imagine, first of all, two factors. Number one, a science topper saying she wants to do law. And second of all, a very shy, introverted kid saying, I want to do law, and I want to fight. So it came as a shock to everybody that, okay, she wants to do law. So, but then I'm really glad I took that decision, and my sister also supported me a lot during the time. Because I'll tell you what it does, is when you decide to live your life the way you want to live it, you feel personally accountable for it. Because you have said that, okay, I have made that decision, now I have to live up to it. Then I've said this before at one of the talks, but then I will repeat it again because I think it's important to say this, is that, at that moment, it no longer becomes a matter of, I want to be successful. Everybody wants it. Everybody says, I want to be successful. But when you start making your own life decisions, when you go against the society in a way, then you feel that responsibility that it's not just about wanting to be successful. You have to be successful is what I used to feel. I have to be successful now because I have chosen my life. So the onus is on me to prove that I made the right choice. So that is also there, when you make your own decisions.
In college, again, if you had also told me that you were participating in so many things,
Yes.
right? And I remember hearing that in the model you were what, Iraq? The hell did you say as Iraq that made you win the whole thing?
Honestly,
There were no nuclear bombs. बेकार में आ गए तुम लोग.
No, I actually don't even remember what I said.
Alright.
But I remember it was something about speaking against terrorism. So it was a General Assembly, and the funny thing about that Model United Nations that I participated was in Hyderabad.
Okay.
It was my very first Model United Nations. So I had no idea how to do it. It was my first time, and I went there, and there were about 92 people. So I had to compete with other 92 people, and one guy, he was so experienced. He was somebody who had done about 40 MUNs before. 40, I'm not kidding you. He was representing North Korea or China. I think he was representing North Korea. And it was so intimidating, to be in front of these experienced people. And I remember, so it was a 2-day event. And the first half of the day, I did not speak anything at all because I was so afraid. I didn't know, I didn't know what was going on. It's a complicated thing. It's not like a debate. It's like a very complicated, lots of procedures are there. And I didn't really understand it. And I didn't have the courage, at the time to really speak up. And I had a college senior who was very experienced. And because he was very experienced, he was one of the judges. Not of that General Assembly, but I was part of the General Assembly. He was part of the Lok Sabha. There's also this Lok Sabha thing. He was a judge there. And he told me, Jayasree, you know what? Did you speak? And I said, first, I didn't speak. And he said, why didn't you speak? And then he told me something. He mentioned my professor. Before I left, this particular professor, Professor Shyness, I told him that Jayasree is also coming with us. And when I told him that, he said, if Jayasree is going, then she's going to win something and come back. That's what he told me, and this is how you're behaving. You're not even speaking. You don't believe in yourself enough to speak. So, I'm going to go back and tell him that you didn't speak at all. So, he sort of threatened me with that, and so after that I spoke. And I did speak up. I think the belief of my professor was very touching, and, my senior was also there. And thankfully, I did win. I won that. I got a certificate of high commendation. I won it. That was my first MUN, and I won it along with the guy who had done 40 MUNs. So two of us, we had that, it was a tie. So we both got the certificate of high commendation.
Okay, I just want to know, how old is that guy who's done 40 model events? Because model events happen about once a year.
No.
What?
So these people, because they live in the cities,
So
they start from school.
many weekend
They
one
start
model
from
event.
school. Yes, they start from school. So they keep doing so many MUNs, and once you reach the 40-50 level, then you can also start judging. And then it's very chill, for them because they get everything for free.
Oh yeah?
So yeah, they so lovely.
This is another thing that's missing हाम्रो क्षेत्रमा क्या सारै भन्नु पनि अप्ठ्यारो छ कि I would also like to put this out जसले हेर्दै छ हाम्रो स्कुल भयो हाम्रो कलेज भयो सबै जग्गा that just to say कि हाम्रो नानीहरु सिरियस छैन is not enough
Yeah,
हैन
exactly.
we haven't created the structures that allow our students to participate in so many of these things. Which is why I wanted to do something like this podcast so that they at least meet people,
Yes.
such as yourself, and you were so kind to agree. Now, getting on to the juicier bits, and I guess that's what everybody is here to listen to. When did you decide that, yes, the legend is there that class 5 ma leheko, but there must be a point when you said, law, UPSC ko preparation garchu.
I mean, I think it was always there in the back of my mind that someday I want to write UPSC. तर कहिले start भयो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ I think that main point was after COVID. After COVID, when everything was shut down and there wasn't really much to do, and I thought I would watch a few toppers talks. So even though I started my formal preparation in 2022, I remember listening a lot to toppers, and I think this is something so important. You have to listen to other people who've made it. And I talked about humanizing the exam. So when I used to watch these toppers, I think this is what's happening right now also. I'm here, and then when you talk to me, you'll find out, I'm a normal person like everybody else. So when I used to watch these toppers also, I used to feel, okay, all right, they may be very brilliant, but this is the feeling you should get. If they can do it, why can't I? So I remember I used to watch a lot of these videos on YouTube. I used to have it, and I used to think, okay, someday, even I can make it. So that idea was started around that time. And then finally I decided, that especially when I was doing international law and and all of that, and then finally I decided that, okay, I'm going to start, because my graduation, so either I have to get a job as an advocate or I have to do something else. And then I said, I'm going to do something else. So let's go for this.
Achha, I have a very important question to ask you. Coffee khada no?
Thank you so much.
No, it's chiso paisa right? Should we let's get her, what kind of coffee do you want?
I don't want hot
because
coffee.
I'm realizing I'm the only one sipping and sipping. Mere troller hunnu thaleko. So,
No,
you want black
is
coffee
fine.
without
Can I
sugar?
have some cold coffee?
Cold coffee?
Yes, that's
You
okay.
cold day boys, exactly. Let's get her iced coffee. No? Guys,
Yeah.
one of you can. Yeah? Just wine. All right. Now, while we wait for your coffee,
Yes.
let me tell you my experience. Right? After I graduate from college, then everybody don't know what to do. We say, okay, now we are getting into UPSC.
Yes.
Right? Na?
Yes.
And then we go in Delhi, we have these coaching centers.
Right.
It's a multi-million dollar
business.
right?
Yes,
It's a
crores.
multi-million dollar.
Yes.
So once you get in, they show you this entire photos of people who graduated from there. So you see your own photo there, right? And then you start getting into these coaching centers and all of that, right? And then you start living in these PGs, but these one-room apartments and all of that thing. Was it the same for you in Bangalore? Did you prepare in Bangalore?
No.
What did you do?
No, I was enjoying my college life. I was really active in, the thing is, you can be good in your studies and you can be good at extracurriculars. I loved my extracurriculars. I'll just speak a little bit about
please,
it.
Please.
I loved my extracurriculars. I remember because I used to make so many friends, and it was so fun, and I used to get to travel. So I loved my extracurriculars. I made sure that I participated in as many as I could, because anyway I would get refunded, and also if you won, you would get a good cash amount, you would also earn money. So it was a win-win situation. And I remember, like, in college I used to participate in all these events, but 1 month before the exam, 1 month before my semester exam, then I would stop. Then it was only studies. So I think I learned that balancing thing, how to balance both extracurriculars and academics in, properly in college, because like I said, I was very active in both of them. And also I remember I was so in love with even what I was doing even then, that I used to intern a lot. I have interned in so many law firms and in so many places, in so many NGOs also. Every semester I wouldn't come home. So for 5 years I really have not come home. I've come home only for 10-12 days. I would come for Dussehra or Diwali. But all the semester breaks I have interned. So I have done more than 20 weeks of internships at all these wonderful places. One of the, I think civil service in a way is so related with public also. And I remember I was interning at this place where we filed this PIL. I wrote this in my DAF also for interview. So I remember we filed a PIL against the illegal eviction of certain slum dwellers that was there. And it was so interesting. And, we were there on the ground. We went to visit the slum area, and, we interacted with these people. So it was a wonderful thing, And then when the High Court, people say that the High Court, it's a very long process and all that. But the High Court was very proactive in that particular case. And the High Court passed a favorable order within a month. By the time my internship got over, the favorable order was out. And incidentally, the judge who released the order, Justice Oka, is now a Supreme Court judge. So it's a huge honor. And you think doing things like that, right? It also puts that passion into you that really public service is not just a word that you throw around. It's a genuine thing. You feel genuinely happy when you serve. and when something good comes out of it. So it's doing, so what I'm saying is, in your college life, if you participate in extracurriculars, when you intern, when you meet new people, it adds so much to who you are, and it adds so much to, what you're doing. It's not just about that. So I would recommend all of you to also be active in other things. Academics is there, learn to balance both.
I mean, I'm sorry, I was just getting mesmerized by what you were saying. Yeah, and I was just realizing, you only see the fact that she's got through the UPSC, right? And you see her rank. Can you see the amount of work that it requires? Reminds me of this lovely poem by हरिवंश राय बच्चन, क्या कि सहज ही नहीं मिलते मोती गहरी पानी में, है ना, कोशिश करने वाले की कभी हार नहीं होती. और it seems like such a long process that, and so many right things and right decisions that you've taken, but you still haven't told me. What did you, like, when you decided to prepare?
Yes.
Right. Did you go to like we mortals did? Did you go to those one-room apartments, or did you come back home to Darjeeling?
No, so in a way, I'm very glad I was not in Delhi, because I think in Delhi, this idea is so there that, you have to prepare. I think every other person in Delhi is preparing for UPSC. And like he said, there's this huge market that happens, and oftentimes people get misled by it. So because I was away from that environment, I could be selective about what I was seeing on the internet. I could be selective about the topics I was listening to. I could be selective about the things I was doing. So in that way, I would say, whenever you're starting a difficult journey, start with people who've been successful in that journey. If you want to prepare for UPSC, start by listening to a few toppers, because a lot of them are going to guide you in the right way. And I remember I used to watch a lot of these toppers videos, and then I realized, okay, you know what, you can also do it on your own, because they would always give a book list. I was like, okay, so this is the book list I have to follow. This is what I have to do. This is what I have to do. So I mentally had this thing in my head that now I know, I sort of know, because after hearing so many toppers, you realize most of them are saying the same things, in different words, but they're saying the same things, which is why I didn't really get through that coaching industry, the Delhi taking the separate room thing. I just decided, I'm going to prepare on my own, and let's see how it goes.
When we were coming here, I was talking to Bhai, right? Who, he's from the history department, and he was telling, we were discussing this very issue, that there's this whole idea of these, coaching centers and these big fat books, and this whole, industry as such, that often हाम्रो जग्गाको मान्छेहरू, they think कि अरे कोचिङ नै लिनु पैसा लाग्ने रहेछ है, त्यहीँ जानु पर्ने रहेछ, and you are saying कि no, that's not even required.
So what I mean by that is, let me try to explain coaching. I think because it's very decentralized now with the internet, there are two things you can do. One is you can actually take classes, formal classes. You go to Delhi, you take formal classes. Or number two, you study on your own for the most part. You take help here and there from these coaching industries. See, coaching industries, they are not all bad. They also have some good things to them, right? So you utilize those good things, but you don't have to use everything. I think, I'll tell you, at the end of the day, it boils down to assessing yourself, to being self-aware, to knowing, what sort of student are you? Are you somebody who likes listening to classes and then, you have that formal structure? Or are you somebody like me? Because I am somebody, my parents know this, if even I'm listening to a YouTube video, I have it on 1.5x speed. Or 1.75. Sometimes they would come and they're like, what are you listening? I can't understand. And so I'm somebody like that. I need my flexibility. So depends on who you are. What sort of a student are you? Do you need a teacher there? Because if you do need a teacher there, that's all right. You take coaching. Or if you're like me, if you think that, okay, I can study by myself, you study by yourself, but you also take help where you need help. I took test series. I had to take some test series, or I used to watch online videos on certain things where I was confused about. So, at the end of the day, like I said, it boils down to assessing your own strengths and weaknesses. What sort of a person are you?
But were you in Darjeeling or were you in Bangalore? Why
I was in Darjeeling. I was in Darjeeling.
Okay, you were in Darjeeling, all right. So in your room in Darjeeling. So my point being, she's so used to answering complicated questions. How do you get somebody out? You give them a full toss.
Okay, thank you.
Acha, you mo khanchu ni lai chauna. Why waste, hai na? So, yeah. And you said the first attempt, of course, was not a serious one, right? Uh, with two things that I'd just like to sort of not point out, but sort of stress on. One, you are saying that coaching industry and of course the plethora of YouTube videos, they have a purpose, right? And but that's more or less to polish you one last month.
Yes, yes,
The
yes.
core ta afai nai बनाउनु
Core
पर्छ,
आफै बनाउनु पर्छ.
हैन?
Yes, even for people who do these coachings, no, kinabhane, I've been in touch with lots of selected candidates this year. And yesterday, oh no, I think a few days ago, a selected candidate, he asked this question, how many of you took formal coaching? Then somebody asked a clarification, what do you mean by coaching? Then he said,
Yeah.
no, somebody who's taken actual, classes, going to the classes and all that. And I saw majority of the people, including me, we had marked no. 60% of us had marked no. And then there was this message by one of the selected candidates who had given about 7 attempts, who got selected this year. He wrote about how, we have this idea in our head that we have to take classes, we have to go to class and everything. But actually what we need instead of the classes is we need guidance.
Well said.
Just because you are doing coaching does not mean you are getting guidance. You need proper guidance. Now, if you do coaching and you get guidance there, that's great. But if you do coaching and you don't get guidance, then it's just a waste of money. So you need proper guidance. At the end of the day, it boils down to that, whether you have that guidance and mentorship.
And for you, guidance seems to have been these, YouTube videos that you were following, the the toppers ko videos and seeing what their
Exactly.
mindset is.
So I used to follow a lot of toppers, figuring out what they're saying, figuring out the basic principles. I remember I watched so many of them. I extrapolated about 5 basic principles, and which I told in my speech in my toppers talk also last time, that you just use, because all of the toppers at the end of the day, it would boil down to using limited resources, revising those resources to the maximum, following current affairs, doing previous year questions, and practicing a lot. It boiled down ultimately to these 5 things, no matter how long they were speaking for. So I remember I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And for my guidance, I also had my father, because my father is a teacher.
Okay.
And because my father is a teacher, teachers have this ability to sort of believe in people. And my father believed in me, my mother believed in me, my sister, my family believed in me. But whenever I had a problem, education sector, I would go to him and I would confide in him. So in that way, I had that.
Teachers त भयंकरै हुन्छ नि त है सर तपाईहरु म But again, of course, again the importance of support and again, the reason I'm not concentrating on the off the beat questions about what you, because you are already Chandris, I'm sure. Now, so I want to again, talk about the human side of this preparation, because I remember the most difficult thing preparing alone is the loneliness.
Yes.
How did you deal with that? If you are in a group,
Yes.
there's still some sense. Good time the you WhatsApp or you can still do. My time it was, and I'm not telling you how long back that time was, but video things weren't that very common. So when we did try to prepare alone, and loneliness crept in, right? And the concentration wasn't there, self-doubt was there, something that Ajay Bhai also spoke about. Yes. How did you deal with that and overcome it?
So loneliness is a big mental part of this exam, dealing with it. But I would say, I would like to say a lot of things here. Number one is accept that it is going to be a part of your life when you're preparing for this exam. Because the faster you accept it, the better it is for you. And, you take that as an opportunity to sort of know yourself. Because in a way it can get lonely, but at the same time, during that lonely time, you're not relying on some external sort of validation. You're doing your own thing, you are finding your sense of purpose in doing what you're doing. So you replace that sense of loneliness with the sense of purpose, that every single day you wake up and you're studying and all of that. So in a way you forget about the loneliness because you're so busy with the schedule that you have. I'm telling you this because the difference in my first and second attempt, is the first attempt, I remember I was also a bit emotional about the process. I would cry a lot. I remember I would get bad scores in a test. I would call my sister and I would start crying to her, I got bad, I don't think I'll do it, this, that. And then the second attempt, what happened is I stopped being so emotional about it. Whenever I would get a bad score in a test, I would say, okay, I'll sleep for a while. Then I would get up and I would start studying again. So even loneliness is a part of, part of the emotional thing, right? You're being very emotional about it. So I would say just accept it. Just accept the fact that it is going to get lonely, and that, it's okay. Everybody goes through lonely moments. Use that as an opportunity to, know yourself. And also, it doesn't have to be lonely all the time, because you can also remain in touch with your friends. You can remain in touch with your parents, obviously. So my parents, I used to spend time with them after dinner. My father would tell me, play chess with me. So stay in touch with your family and your friends. Meet them from time to time. I always say I used to take Sundays off, half a day. Half a day I would do my test and revise it. The rest half I would take off. So in that half day, you meet your friends, you interact with them. And also nowadays we have Telegram channels. Telegram channels, you can get connected to other aspirants also. I remember during mains, there was this one girl, so we used to evaluate each other's answers. We met in this group, and she liked, I remember I sent my answer there and she liked my answer. So she texted me, can we evaluate each other's answers? So I said yes. So we started evaluating each other's answers, and both of us cleared mains.
Oh,
And
okay.
then this is for people preparing at home. This is what you can do. Be very careful with obviously who you're talking to, but at the interview stage, when you're preparing for the interview, or whenever if you're preparing outside, I would suggest you join a library, because these libraries, they're very serious, and you go there and it's so serious that everybody is studying, and you will feel shy even to open this metal water bottle, because it makes noise. And because there's no noise in that library, everybody is studying. The only noise you'll hear is pages flipping. So when you see other serious candidates, and then you will also get very serious, but you also make friends. You also see other people who are also preparing. So this is what you can do.
I know libraries where the librarians make most noise. Of course, you're talking about a very different. And so you clear your prelims, you clear your mains,
Yes,
right? This
yes.
is in the second attempt.
Yes.
First attempt, you didn't clear your prelims. Is it?
No.
Okay. Second attempt, it's going. Is there a building sensation ki yo pali ta kehi huncha hola bhanne?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll tell you that feeling especially comes after prelims, because when you clear prelims, and this year, and everybody has different difficult phases of the exam. You said so mains is difficult. For me, I didn't find mains to be very difficult. For me, the most difficult part was prelims. And this year the pattern was so different, and it had changed. I don't know if you've seen the paper, but the pattern had changed. And I was very scared, and my father knows this. I was very scared, whether I would even make it. And I was already thinking of, whether I should have a backup career planned out for me and all that. And so when I cleared my prelims, I was so happy. I was like, this is it. Now I will clear, now I have to clear all the stages. That's when the sort of fever sets in that, now I have to do it this year. This year I am going to make it. And then the thing is I'm not really prepared extensively for mains before prelims, because I was so scared of prelims. I was mostly focused on the prelims part. There are a lot of extra things in mains that is not there in prelims, but I was like, I don't care, I'm going to make it this year anyhow. I'm going to make it. And I remember just closing the door and just being, I don't know, there was something, this burning desire, you could say. I was just on fire. I would say that, when you clear the most difficult phase, and then you just have to work hard for 3 months or so, and then you're in, because mains is the most important part
Of course.
of the exam. So that is there, the momentum it does build up.
For those who surrendered pretty quickly. I mean, I knew a lot of them, not just surrendered pretty quickly, but got shut down in the process for them, right? And I remember for them, the difference I buzdakheri, tapaiko bada buzdakheri is the mindset racer, yeah?
Mindset.
Because you are saying you were on fire, and I knew people who cleared their prelims and they're like, there's still such a long way to go, no? Right? Like, if I can just share one story from my life, I remember Mero center, back then you had these motto, I don't know if it's the same, but back then we had these motto booklets, yeah?
Yes,
So you break the seal and you open, right?
Yes.
And the preliminary questions start coming in, right? So first page ma alikiti thara cha hai. Then you start thinking then you start imagining yourself like a cricketer, yeah? 2 balls ta khele kya? And then you go 4 hours. Then you go to the 4th, 5th page, I'm 6-7 wicket to then go. The moment you think you're building up some momentum, and then you start telling yourself you clear garegi bhanna, the question paper hai turi ho gaya. But it wasn't like that with you, was it?
No.
There was a momentum, there was a build.
Momentum, yes.
You were like Travis Head, and obviously, do you watch cricket?
No.
For those of you, and SRH is playing today, so she was like Travis Head and Abhishek Sharma. Yeah, no, none of you watch cricket. So only I got that joke. Okay. I'm sure at least somebody on the YouTube would have got that joke at least. But now once you clear your means, right? And this is the part that very few people have got to, very few people, which is the honor of going to, the Bhavan
Yes.
and sitting for your, what happens on that day? You buy new clothes. Oh, you wait to buy new clothes, the badna. But before that, I saw your mock interviews and all, which people confuse for your real interviews.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So how many of these mock interviews did you do?
I gave around 9.
No.
Around 9. And some of them are recorded with the videos, and some of them are not. So.
And are these, interviews necessary to just get a feel of what they're going to ask you?
I mean, it's again completely, it's like coaching, whether you want to take coaching or not is up to you. It's the same thing for mock interviews, whether you want it or not is up to you. I took it because my interview was in the second phase. So the interview happens in 3 phases. You have the first phase got over by January, February. The second phase was from February to March. So and then after that is, the third phase is the last phase up till April 9th. So mine was in the second phase. I had March 14th. It was my interview date. So I had a long time, I was like, what am I going to do till this time? Might as well give a few interviews, because what's going to happen is you're going to get complacent because you're going to think, oh, we just have to speak, No. So if I give a mock interview every week, then I'm taking it as a test. I talked about testing. In my prelims, I used to do this. Every week I used to give a test. It was to help myself be accountable. So I gave those mock interviews primarily to be accountable, with my preparation, and not to be complacent with the process.
All right. If you don't mind me asking, Thapa, centers, I don't know, I'm such a Baba Adam ke zamane ko gaya. You still have centers, right?
Centers?
Where you give the exams,
Yes.
So where was your center?
मेरो center was in Siliguri.
Prelims
चाहिँ सिलिगुडीमा थियो अनि मेन्स चाहिँ उनी 24 सेन्टर्समा हुन्छ.
अच्छा.
So मेरो मेन्स को center was in Bangalore.
Okay.
I did Bangalore because I was familiar with Bangalore.
So, familiarity, and I'm sure that also plays a different, role, doesn't it?
Yes, the weather, I couldn't think about, the Kolkata heat. And I'm not somebody who's good with heat yet. I will have to get used to it in a while. But so I thought about it, and I was like, I'm very, and after that I thought, because I've stayed in isolation for so long, I want to meet my college friends. So I stayed in Bangalore, I did my exams there, and after that I stayed 1 extra week.
All right.
Where I spent a lot of time with my friends and enjoyed.
So she's not a robot, yeah?
Of course not.
Now we get to the, the most important part, the most horror movie ko finale. You watch Gayatri Rai, what was it? Baravi Fail. You watch Baravi Fail?
Yes.
So this is the part when things get interesting. Is it how they show it is in that movie?
No.
This is so tell us the real thing.
So
Taylor, right? You of course you buy new clothes, right?
So I incidentally didn't buy any new clothes because my sister had gotten this beautiful Kanchipuram sari. And she had gotten it actually for my mother, with one of her first salaries. But she had never worn it and she had kept it very safe. So when I cleared this interview stage, you're going to wear it. So it was brand new, beautiful sari. So I decided to go with that. And so what happens is you wake up in the morning at 6 o'clock or something like that. I woke up, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep well that night, obviously.
I can obviously imagine.
I couldn't sleep well at night, and I woke up at 4 o'clock and my parents were awake at 5 o'clock. So my parents, they have been there with me for every stage of the exam, like prelims, mains and interviews. So my parents had come down to Delhi. So I woke up at 5 o'clock and 4 o'clock, and then, when my parents were awake, I went to my parents and I said, I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling nervous. That's what I told. And my father said something very important at the time. He said, you are feeling nervous because it's important. If it was not important to you, then you would not have felt nervous.
So this mic drop statements, you learned it from your father, right? I hope I can manage the same thing with my daughter.
So that's what he said. The very fact that you're feeling nervous means that it means something, right? So don't worry about it. Everybody feels nervous, and okay. Then I got ready. My mother helped me with my sari, and I wouldn't have managed without my mother. So my mother helped me with my sari and everything. Then we went there and we had to wait in line, and incidentally, I'm telling you, if, I had become such a extroverted in a way, not extroverted, but I had become this person who could make a lot of friends. In Delhi, I had made so many friends. On the interview day, I met 3 people who I knew. So 3 of my friends I met on the same day in the morning session itself. And you are made to stand in line, and then there's documents and all of that. Documents you have to verify, and then you have to get in. So it's this huge hall, no phones allowed. Then you get inside, and then they take your signatures, they assess your documents and everything. Then you're made to sit in different tables. There are about 5 different tables. There were 5 boards. This time, they tried to do it early, the interview process. They tried to finish it off early. So there were 5 different board members.
All right.
6 people in each board, and they give you, so you get to know when each person is getting up and leaving. You get to know the order. And I got to know that I was the last one. The last one to go for the interview that session. So then you sit at this table, and one by one they leave. One by one they leave, and then they are not allowed to come back. Because they are not allowed to come back and say what questions they may have asked or which board they got. So it's a complete mystery. You don't know which board you're getting. And the thing is, once you get to the interview stage, there's this rumor that goes around about particular boards. This board asks this sort of questions, that board does this. So there are a lot of speculations. So you don't know till the very end which board you're getting. So then all of them got, they went out. And then it was my turn, the last candidate. And so you leave, and then you're escorted there, and then you're made to sit outside. And I remember when you're sitting outside, I felt you feel very numb. You feel I'm glad I felt numb, because I'm glad I wasn't nervous and my hands weren't shaking. I'm also glad that I was overly excited. I think that would have spoiled things for me. I think I was just very calm and a bit numb. And then, there were a lot of people there, for them, the peons and for the people who are there helping, for them it's an everyday thing. So then they're nicely chilling and having coffee and tea, and they're talking. And I remember watching them have tea. I also wanted to have something. So I waited for about 10 minutes before I realized I'm feeling thirsty. Then I asked them, if I could have some water. But it was my luck or whatever, bad luck or whatever it is that you say, that the minute I asked it, it was my turn. So the person left, the last candidate left, and then I was called in. So the person was giving me some water. He was pouring water in a glass for me, but then I couldn't drink it. So I had to go like that. And then when you go in, the room is very warmly lit. And then it's the round semicircle thing. I think that is one thing they got correct in the 12th Fail movie. It's a round table thing. And you're very close, it's almost this proximity. So the point of the interview is that they don't want to make it a very formal interview. They wanted to make it a conversation. They want to get to know you. And in fact, in the UPSC syllabus, if you see, right, in the syllabus they've mentioned at the UPSC personality test phase, they've said we do not want to test your knowledge, specialized or general, because it's already been tested at the written stage. This is a test of your acumen, of how you're able to, your social skills and a lot of other things. So it's not just going to be about your knowledge. So it is set up in a conversational manner. They do try to have conversations with you. Sometimes they try to test you. They try to give you stress tests. Every board is different. I had gotten Sanjay Verma sir. He was an IFS officer as well. So I remember I sat there, and he made me feel very comfortable the minute I went in. I think that because they know you're nervous, right? So when you go in, he just said, okay, he complimented me. Okay, you're looking very bright, you're looking very nice. And then he made me sit. See, that's a way of making somebody feel comfortable. And then, he made small talk. Oh, did you have to wait for long? And what were you doing outside? Very small, he eased into it. And then he asked me, then the questioning started. But the questioning is not, in an antagonistic way. They don't try to intimidate you. And even if they do, don't take it the wrong way. They're trying to see how you take it. So I think ultimately it's about how you manage stress and how you react and how you're able to converse with them. So that is the test.
My God, that was when you were defining it. You often, how many people give the UPSC prelims a year? Prelims, 14 lakhs?
Yes, 14 lakhs around.
People hear this word 14 lakhs. You know what 14 lakhs looks like? It's those cramped up rooms in these very well, at least in Delhi, in this extremely, के भन्नु, hot environment, people living together, sharing books, going to these coaching classes, managing money, all of that, right? त्योबाट छाटिएर somebody like her comes and goes till the interview level. Most of us gave up way too early. We weren't capable enough. I just want to thank you for taking us on that lovely sort of, with your lovely narrative, taking us on that lovely adventure about what actually happens. Yeah, I think one round of applause right here. Interview to or podcast
can I just comment on something, sir,
please,
where you talked about, most of us, we give up early, or even though usage of the word fail, or you mentioned something that because we are not capable enough or something like that. I disagree with that, because even UPSC, in fact, it makes me a bit uncomfortable when somebody says I failed in UPSC, because even UPSC, if you see, in other exams they might use the word fail, pass fail. UPSC never uses the word fail. UPSC, when you don't qualify for the exam, it just says not recommended. Not recommended for what? Not recommended for civil service, but you're recommended for other things, right? Like that option is always there. So you're not recommended for civil service, but that doesn't mean you're not recommended for other things, and that doesn't mean you're a failure. Even, when you don't qualify mains, or when you don't qualify prelims, it's not you failed. They don't use the word fail, they say not qualified. So I think that says something about even the mindset of UPSC and the UPSC chairman and the people there, that that UPSC is not the only option, that you're allowed to do other things, and don't take this so much to heart, that you're not a failure.
My God, mic drop, eh? Now I have some confidence that this video might touch 40,000. Yeah. All right. Now let's have a serious one. Let's discuss a little bit about, you watch series, don't you?
Yes, I've watched a few of them.
Yeah, Hiramandi?
Not yet. Not yet. I think I watched Peaky Blinders up to
Peaky Blinders?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love Peaky Blinders.
I watched up
Tom
to
Shelby.
season 2. Yes, Tom Shelby. He's a legend.
But I prefer not just Tommy Shelby, but the anti-heroes in that series.
Right. I think they are more interesting.
Yeah, Luca Chengrata. Actually, I was about to say that dialogue, Asti. Yeah, that since this is stitched by blood, each stitch is because it's stitched by someone from blood, each stitch is stitched with blood. Money dialogue. But I got so nervous in front of you, I couldn't say it. What's thing Tom Hardy thing?
So actually, I watched it a long time back, so I don't exactly remember. I just remember that I loved it.
All right. You also said you like Game of Thrones, right?
Yes, I have watched it.
Yeah?
I remember when the last season came out, we had to watch every season the day it came, every episode the day it came out. We were in college, so we had to watch it, and so it was nice. Game of Thrones, and
last season was such a disappointment.
No, the last season was a complete disappointment. They butchered the characters, and it was really sad.
I mean, just for Bran to become the king, I was like,
exactly.
Come on.
For what reason?
Who's your favorite character?
My favorite character, Game of Thrones, Daenerys. I mean, I know it's who doesn't? Cliche.
Come on, you're saying you like the Dragon Queen. Do you realize none of them are real?
No, but I'll tell you something. Even though they butchered her character at the end, right? I still like her. I mean, it says something. I think she was everybody's favorite character up till season 3, season 4.
Of course.
But to say, she remained a favorite character till the very end.
That's all a lie. You know what kind of people are telling the truth?
Yes.
The kind of people who say Tyrion was their favorite character. Because Tyrion just rocked to the
right.
Tyrion Lannister was.
I agree.
There's the line that he says, that all history should be history of great conversations, and I hope this is also one of those great conversations. Right?
I think we are losing the audience. I don't think.
Have you all watched Game of Thrones? No, you have. That's because you're from history. You have. So who's your favorite character?
Jon Snow.
Cliche.
Cliche. No, Jon Snow, Daenerys. These are cliche.
Yeah, these are cliches. Yeah.
But just because it's cliche doesn't mean it's wrong.
Yeah,
right?
true.
I still like it.
With regard to a lot of these movies that came out recently on the UPSC, right? You have के अरे 12वीं फेल हो गई 11वीं फेल हो
12वीं fail. 12वीं fail.
right? I didn't watch that movie because my wife was talking so much about it. I know the whole story. Yes, and I love my wife. यो podcast एउटा घर पनि जानुपर्छ हैन and there is of course TVF aspirants.
Yes, aspirants.
Can
yes.
you tell me which one of these are more closer to the reality of
12th fail.
12th fail?
12th fail is obviously some parts will be dramatized, like I don't know whether
the
for
uniform
Gen Z
deal
actors-
last time I was like, come on, you don't have to do this. Yeah.
I mean, obviously some part is dramatized, but I think it is still a bit more accurate. But also I would like to say, sometimes what happens is when you watch these movies and when you watch these shows, this is for UPSC aspirants, okay? Like if you watch this, see, if you're a non-UPSC aspirant, you'll be like, wow, so great. But if you're a UPSC aspirant, again, you might dehumanize this exam. You might put it on a pedestal. I remember aspirants came out when I was preparing and everybody was talking about it. And I watched the first episode. I liked it, okay? But then I decided I'm not going to watch it anymore. Because I felt if I keep watching it, I will start putting this exam on a pedestal, like, oh wow, this exam is so difficult, so honorable, this, that. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to take it as an exam. So I didn't watch the full season. I asked my parents to watch it. And then I asked my parents to watch it. I asked other people to watch it. I didn't watch it. I watched the first episode. Then I skipped to the last episode. I wanted to know what happens, at the end. I just did that much. Because I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to get emotional about the process, So be careful when you're watching these sort of videos. Take it as a movie and take inspiration from it, but make sure you don't end up putting this exam on the pedestal because of that movie.
The constant theme seems to be don't put any of your goals on a pedestal, right?
Exactly.
And you wanted your parents to watch because you wanted to make sure they understand
How
the
difficult
pain that
it
you
is.
go through.
Yes.
Pass bhayo bhane chahi किन भन है मलाई
Yes, especially.
She's a diplomat हुँदैन नि है यो त इन्डिया पाकिस्तान त she's only going to solve. If you solve the parental issue, why not Kashmir, right? Anyhow, I mean, I watched Aspirants. I thought it was lovely. I even watched the spin-off Sandeep Bhaiya. That was because I felt like Sandeep Bhaiya to some extent, mentoring kids but not getting through yourself. All right, and I'm sure there are lots of questions, right? Should we get to the question bits right now? Okay. The students were waiting for quite some time. And I'm sure lots of them have lots of questions. It's not every day you get to meet All India rank 52, right? So, and you've heard a story. It's more than just the rank, right? There is so much in that story of, difficulties that have been overcome, right? You just see Jayasree and the rank, Nita, and you see such a long journey that she's covered. And I'm sure you guys have tons of questions for her. So let's get to the questions from them, right?
हाम्रो अहिले सिलगढी भन्नुहोस् या छेउछाउको जति पनि डुवर्स भन्नु हिल्स एरियाहरू स्टुडेन्टहरू धेरै छन् जसले घरबाट तयारी गरिरहेको छन् या जसले दिल्ली एफोर्ड गर्न सक्दैन कोचिङ मान्छेकोमा के एउटा फोमो हुन्छ हामीले कोचिङ गरेनौँ भने हामीले पास हुन सक्दैनौँ हामीले गर्नै सक्दैनौँ भने त्यसको बारे चाहिँ कसरी डिल गर्नु होला
सो यो जुन चाहिँ क्वेसन भन्नुभयो नि फोमो मलाई पनि हुन्थ्यो है फियर अफ मिसिङ आउट कि अब दिल्ली गएको छैन दिल्लीको मान्छेले कसरी पढ्दैछ कसरी गर्दैछ भन्ने सो त्यो डिल कसरी गर्नु भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ टर्न द्याट इन्टु अ पोजिटिभ हाउ डु यु टर्न द्याट इन्टु अ पोजिटिभ यसरी सोच्नु दिल्लीको मान्छेहरू अब कोचिङहरू गर्दा कति पढ्दैछ होला म उनीहरूभन्दा ज्यादा पढ्छु भन्ने मेरो चाहिँ एटिट्युड त्यस्तो थियो सो जहिले पनि त्यो फोमो हुन्थ्यो नि म भन्थेँ होइन आई विल स्टडी मोर सो द्याट त्यो फिलिङ नै हुँदैन थियो क्या कोही कोही बेला जस्तै टाइम वेस्टहरू हुन्छ घरमा सुती पठाउँछ पाहुनाहरू आइदिन्छ है त्यस्तो हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ के गर्थेँ भन्दाखेरि आई मेड स्योर भिडियोजहरू सुनिरहन्थेँ कामहरू गर्दा पनि क्या सो कामहरू गर्दा पनि भिडियोहरू सुनिराख्छु पढाइकै कुराहरू सुनिराख्छु कि पढिराख्छु कि टेस्टहरू दिइरहन्थेँ त्यसरी फोमो हराउँदै जान्छ आई टेल यु अनदर थिङ चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि प्र्याक्टिस पुरा गर्छ नि जब प्रिभियस इयर क्वेसन्स कन्फिडेन्स आउनु थाल्छ नि त सक्ने रहेछ भनेर किनभने यो प्र्याक्टिसिङ द प्रिभियस इयर क्वेसन्स एन्ड यो प्र्याक्टिसिङ मक्स है त्यति बेला चाहिँ यु फर्गेट अबाउट द दिल्ली पिपल दिल्लीले जेसुकै गरोस् होइन आफैमाथि फोकस हुन्छ एन्ड द थर्ड थिङ मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेन्ट चाहिँ अब यो एक्जाम त्यही भन्छ 14 लाख पिपल यो यतिजना दिँदैछ उतिजना दिँदैछ सक्सेस रेसियो 1% मात्रै हो भन्ने एउटा एकदम देयर इज दिस इन्भाइरोमेन्ट अफ फियर है अबाउट दिस एक्जाम त डराउनु चाहिँ हुँदैन इन द सेन्स किनभने योर कम्पिटिसन इज नट द रेस्ट अफ देम डोन्ट कम्पेयर यर सेल्फ विथ अदर्स एट अल किनभने देयर जर्नी इज देयर जर्नी उनीहरू अर्कै कतिजना डिफ्रेन्ट ब्याकग्राउन्ड्सहरूबाट आएको हुन्छ अब यही पालि हामी 3जना भयो दार्जिलिङ डिस्ट्रिक्टबाट हामी तिनैजनाको डिफ्रेन्ट स्टोरी छ नि त होइन सो वी कान्ट कम्पेयर ourselves with one another आफ्नै जर्नी थियो सो यु फोकस अन your journey you're studying at home ठिकै छ you're studying at home so many other people are होइन तर don't compare yourself to others just focus on yourself and the only competition you have is you त्यो आफैलाई you try to be better than who you were before आज म 8 hours पढ्दैछु भोलि I'll try to study a little bit more आफैलाई त्यसरी च्यालेन्ज गर्नु च्यालेन्ज गर्दा आफैलाई मजा पनि आउँछ then you forget about the rest अरूले के गर्दैछ
म्याम एउटा सेकेन्ड क्वेसन छ म्याम जस्तो सिलेबस पुरा भास्ट छ यसको होइन एक सालको उयसमा अगर टार्गेट लिएर हिँड्यो भने चाहिँ मतलब यसलाई कसरी डिल गर्नु होला
यो सिलेबस
हजुर
सो सिलेबस त एकदमै भास्ट छ कि तर सोर्सेस चाहिँ भेरी लिमिटेड हुन्छ हो अनि के गर्नु भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ सिम्प्लिफाई गर्नु यो प्रोसेसलाई एक सालमा हुन्छ एक सालमा चाहिँ के गर्नु भन्दाखेरि जुनदेखि स्टार्ट गर्दैछ भने जुन टु डिसेम्बर चाहिँ मेक इट अ पोइन्ट कि आई फिनिश द बेसिक बुक्स एकपल्ट वन्स एन्ड डिभाइड दोज बुक्स इन्टु टार्गेट्स अचिभेबल टार्गेट्स एभ्री विक टेस्ट दिनु लाइक वान सब्जेक्टको त्यसरी नै कम्प्लिट हुँदै जान्छ सो बाई डिसेम्बर यु विल बी डन वन्स विथ अल द बेसिक बुक्स त्यहाँदेखि चाहिँ देन से ओके फ्रम जनवरी टु दिस May, June, I will prepare for prelims and from then I'll prepare mains. त्यसरी क्या सो यो जुन चाहिँ 1 year छ नि त्यसलाई डिभाइड गर्नु टाइम लिमिट्समा एन्ड सेट अचिभेबल टार्गेट्स त्यसरी चाहिँ यु वोन्ट बी थिङ्किङ अबाउट द एक्जाम यु बी थिङ्किङ अबाउट द टार्गेट्स इन नेक्स्ट हप्ताको टार्गेट के छ सो त्यसरी डिभाइडेड
First of all, congratulations, man, for your great achievement. You really made us proud. Whole Gorkha community are proud of you.
Thank you so much.
My main question is like, हाम्रो के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि अहिले लाइक वी रेयरली हियर द्याट कि नेपाली कम्युनिटीबाट कसैले युपिएससी क्र्याक गर्यो लाइक यु हेभ फिल्ड एक्सपिरियन्स है दिल्लीमा गएर तपाईँले प्रिपेयर गर्नुभएको लाइक त्यहाँनिर एकदमै अब हाम्रो कम्युनिटीबाट नै धेरै नै कम्ती छ त्यहाँनिर जो इक्जाम बसिरहेको छन् या हाम्रो लाइक हाम्रो कम्युनिटी या हाम्रो प्लेसबाट केही ल्याक भइरहेको छ कि त्यहाँ धेरै कम्ती एक्सपिरियन्सहरू छ लाइक युपिएससी एक्सपिरियन्सहरू छ नेपाली कम्युनिटीबाट
सो म मेरो दिल्लीको एक्सपिरियन्स चाहिँ ज्यादा छैन किनभने म त मेन्सको बाद मात्रै गएँ नि त सो फर मेन्स दिल्ली इन्टरभ्यू प्रिपरेसनको जाँदाखेरि त ज्यादा मान्छेहरू थिएन लाइक यु सेड कोही त थिएन इनफ्याक्ट गौतम र अजय छ भनेर मलाई याद थिएन हो एकपल्ट आई रिमेम्बर सङ्कल्प एउटा मक इन्टरभ्यूमा चाहिँ मैले एकजनाले भनेको थियो आइएम फ्रम दार्जिलिङ भनेर भयो त बादमा चाल पाएँ ऊ चाहिँ गौतम रहेछ भनेर हो बट त्यति बेलासम्म याद थिएन सो मान्छेहरू नै हुँदैन अब आई थिङ्क वाट इज ल्याकिङ भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ भनौँ भने चाहिँ आई थिङ्क कन्फिडेन्स पनि ल्याक गर्छ है अलिकति फ्रम दि एस्पिरेन्स पार्ट एन्ड आई टक अबाउट अब दि एक्सटर्नल पार्ट अफ इन्टर्नली चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि हामी सक्दैनौँ भन्ने एउटा माइन्डसेट हुँदो रहेछ क्या अन्त आई डोन्ट अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड किन चाहिँ छ यस्तो ज्यादा माइन्डसेट कि हामी सक्दैनौँ भन्ने वेन अदर पिपल आर डुइङ इट होइन सबैजना त्यही पनि अब जेनरल क्याटेगोरीको भनेर द्याट अ लट अफ थिङ जेनरल क्याटेगोरी साह्रो हुन्छ यस्तो उस्तो होइन तर ठिकै छ साह्रो हुन्छ बट अदर पिपल also doing it no like if you look at it and other people also doing it so किन त्यो मनमा राख्नु कि हुँदैन भने किन मैले एक्सपिरियन्स गरेको छु मेरो साथीहरुसित कुरा गर्दाखेरि एकजना साथी थियो she told me that I will prepare for UPSC तर I know हुँदैन so that sort of mindset is very common त्यो mindset त्यो आत्मविश्वास चाहिँ आफैमाथि चाहिँ ल्याउनु पर्छ है सेकेन्ड अफ अल चाहिँ आई थिङ्क हाम्रो इन्भाइरोमेन्ट अलिकति हुनुपर्ने रहेछ अवेरनेस छैन एज अ सोसाइटी अब अरू जग्गाहरूतिर चाहिँ सानोदेखि नै अब हुन्छ है दिज आर दि अप्सन्स आइआइटी और मेडिकल वाट एभर सो मेनी अप्सन्स आर देयर हाम्रोमा चाहिँ अलिकति कम्ती लिमिटेड अवेरनेस भएर सो आई थिङ्क अवेरनेस एज अ सोसाइटी वी हेभ टु जेनेरेट भन्ने चाहिँ लाग्छ
नेक्स्ट क्वेसन इज द्याट after watching 12th Fail movie, like Manoj Kumar sir, he was really an inspiration. He became an inspiration, and now you are an inspiration for us.
You might go.
Actually, like धेरैजना अहिले पनि अब युपिएससी एस्पिरेन्टहरू छ होइन लाइक बिचैमा क्विट गरिरहेको छ नि त होइन अब हाम्रो दार्जिलिङ अझ यहीँनिर पनि कतिजना अहिले अब गर्छु भने तपाईँलाई देखेर एउटा इन्सपायर भएर गर्छु भन्ने भइरहेको छ होला है त्यसको लागि चाहिँ लाइक वाट एडभाइस यु वुड लाइक टु गिभ देम
दि एडभाइस आई वुड लाइक टु गिभ इज नो बी एब्सोल्युटली स्योर गर्नु छ भनेर किनभने यो लामो प्रोसेस हो कि डिफिकल्ट एक्जाम पनि हो कम्पिटिटिभ एक्जाम पनि हो सो इफ यु आर नट स्योर अबाउट दिस कि if your reasons are not genuine नि अब जस्तै if your reasons are यति ज़्यादा fame पाउँछ या power पाउँछ या पैसा पाउँछ, if those are your reasons, it's not going to work. Your reasons have to be very very genuine भित्रबाट कि अरू मान्छेले जेसुकै भनोस् you will stick to it. जस्तै मलाई because I was a law graduate नि मलाई there was a lot of expectation. अब जस्तै class 12 मा expectation थियो डक्टर हुन्छु, त्यसरी नै law सकेर there was expectation judge हुन्छ. जजको एक्जाम बस्दै भनेर जुडिसियरी एक्जाम बस्नुको लागि अलिकति प्रेसर त थियो एन्ड इट्स अ वन्डरफुल जब नि त बिङ अ जज होइन अन्त कतिजनाले कन्भिन्स गर्नु खोज्यो बट आई वाज सो एडमेन्ट अन इट लाइक होइन मलाई यही गर्नु मन छ नो म्याटर वाट पिपल सेड आई वुडन्ट बी स्वेट इभन इफ दे सेड दिस इज द वर्स्ट जब इन द वर्ल्ड and even if they said that nobody will pay you any respect or you won't have a lot of and there's a lot of negatives to this job nita it's not all it's not a bed of roses. I mean, it's a bed of roses. It has its own thorns. So I know about the realities. I know about the difficulties. I know about the challenges. But for me, that's exciting. For me, I'm so sure. I was so sure that this is what I wanted to do. So, पहिला गर्नु मन छ भने चाहिँ be absolutely sure that this is what you want to do. Because only when you're absolutely sure, you can give your 100%. त्यहाँदेखि once you're absolutely sure, then don't budge and then just give your 100%. Then the strategy follow गर्नु मैले जुन चाहिँ भनेको छु I've talked a lot about the strategy also. भिडियो पनि छ है त्यो हेरेर सिक्दा हुन्छ. But mentally चाहिँ be absolutely prepared that this is what I want to do. भन्ने चाहिँ हुनुपर्छ एउटा भित्रबाट.
Hello ma'am. So my question is, while preparing the exam, I chose sociology as my optional, right? Now I'm doing my MA in strategic studies, international relations. Now I'm very fond of international studies and all. So I currently shift my optional from sociology to international relations, and I really enjoying doing it. So as commonly says, right, that sociology is a very scoring subject as per most like more scoring subject than international law and like PSI, right? So is it okay to choose PSI as my optional, because I'm a history background and now I'm doing my masters in IR and sociology, I'm not feeling very confident about sociology. So now what can I do about the optional?
Go ahead with the optional that you like, what you're interested in. Because I'll tell you, my optional was law. Law is not seen as a scoring optional. Never. People are so scared of law optional because you don't get good marks in optional law. You don't, and I remember that I thought that, the average, I remember this graduate from NLSIU, the top law college of India, who had given about 4 to 5 attempts, and he only got around 250s, in his optional. And this is so common, so many people from excellent colleges, they come out and they have law as their optional and they don't score good marks in options. So even I had this fear about, law optional not being scoring, just as you have a fear of PSIR not being scoring. But don't fall into that trap. You have to enjoy, what you're studying. You have to like it, because I liked my subject. I'll give you my experience, okay? When I wrote optional paper 1 this year, I thought I had spoiled it. I thought because optional is so important, right, in this exam, I thought I wouldn't get good marks because law, first of all, is not a very scoring optional. On top of that, I made the wrong choice in selection of the options, and I thought I'm not going to get good marks. I was crying after paper 1. I was crying and I was crying, and my father was there and he told me, just give the second paper, and he gave it. But after paper 1, I was crying. I got one of the highest marks this year in law. Okay, so that the law optional is not very scoring, but because I had an interest in it and because I think I had that knowledge base, I was able to score well. So forget about what the market says. People say so many things about electrical engineering and these other things, that they are not very scoring. I think this year, geography also has an option. This year, they've done very well, these optionals. So that trend, it keeps fluctuating. Stick to the subject that you like. Okay.
So, as a student of international relations, I would like to ask from IR only. So do you feel that, since you chose like IFS as a subject, what motivated you to choose foreign service? Because there were options to choose public service as well as administration. So, what motivated you to choose foreign service?
So many things. Number one is interest. interest in the subject matter, and then interest in my extracurriculars. I talked about the MUNs and about this thing, and I think it's a job that is very well suited to my personality also. I really like it. I think I will really enjoy it. I think it'll suit my personality. And honestly, the third part is, just thinking about the fact that whenever I leave, when I get designated as an officer, when I have to represent, my country abroad, and I will not be known as Jayasree Pradhan. I will be known as a delegate of India, as a representative of India. And I think that's such a huge honor. I would love that honor. So,
So, I was just asking him, call it time bomb, and he said 1.5 hours. Get that? So Einstein's what theory of relativity of that if you're having fun, it seems like 5-10 minutes in. So we, as all good things, I guess we have to sort of come to an end. But I still have a few questions. One was hijacked by Ayush. He asked the question I wanted to, and the reason why I wanted to ask that question. Let me take it a little bit away from what you said. That day after you left, everybody wanted to know that because you're getting into the service so early, that if you were to get into the IS, right? I mean, you'd probably become one of the most powerful bureaucrats within India. And they were like, "Oh, भन्नुपर्छ होला बहिनीलाई," and I was like, "You go be my guest, right?" This is not about power for you, is it?
not at all. No, not at all. I think it's a very superficial motive, to be influenced by these things: power, money, prestige. I think those are very superficial things. I think those things don't last, and I think to be motivated by them is not proper motivation. You won't be able to sustain yourself through the preparation years if that's your motivation.
That's another very a nugget to take home for. Okay? And when are you going to go for your training?
We'll get an intimation from UPSC very soon, I'm hoping. Probably August.
Aye?
Yes.
So if anybody wants an interview, it's before August, right? And then you have any preference? You were telling me that day. I just want
Preference of the
posting.
I mean, we won't get countries as preferences. We'll get compulsory languages to choose from.
Okay.
So if I do get a compulsory language, I would like to learn French. So let's see.
So you can go to
France. Yes, my sister is also there. I mean, that's an informal reason, of course. But apart from that, it's a very important country for India. And not only is it an important country for India, it's also one of the languages of the UN. So it's spoken in over 55 countries, if I'm not wrong. So it's an excellent language to choose.
Wow. Right?
Yeah.
It would be funny if you don't get France and you get one of the African countries. No disrespect to the African countries, right?
Yeah, I mean, but I think because you get so people what they should know about foreign services is you get, I think, 3 years posting in different countries, at least from my limited understanding what I've learned. And I think if you do get these lesser countries, not lesser, I'm so sorry to use that word, but not this very hyped up countries like European countries or American places. Even if you get these other challenging countries, like challenging locations, I think that's an excellent place to grow. I think that's where you learn from, because I remember IAS, the training, the first posting is not in a big city, it's in a small village.
True.
Why is that? So that they learn humility and they learn how it is at the grassroots level. So, I think it is those postings that really build your career.
All right.
So, I don't think we should be swayed by, just the beauty part.
It would be remiss for me. The beauty part. It would be remiss for me as a, as a teacher of IR, and, since you are into the foreign service, not to ask you a few questions on the contemporary world events, right? All of my students also I force them to learn about that. And I know there are things that you can't talk about.
Yes,
I'll stay away from them. I'll stay away from the specifics. But one question, if I could ask you, and this is sent to me by a journalist from, Quint, who doesn't want to be named. But what would you change about the Indian foreign policy? Or what do you think, let's not say change, what is one of the, improvements that Indian foreign policy could make? Especially with regard to its neighborhood, policies?
I think with regard to the neighborhood policy, what we need is, we don't have to be very passive. We shouldn't be very passive with these countries. We should actively engage with them. I think that is what the government right now is also trying to do. But I think active engagement is a great thing. And the other thing is delivering on our promises. Because if I remember correctly, when we talk about Iran, even Iran is one of our, not our immediate neighbors, but it is
No doubt, no
approximate
doubt.
neighbor. And we talk about the Chabahar port and
Exactly.
the investment there. And we saw that there was a lot of delay, and I mean, obviously, there were a lot of reasons for the delay.
Of course.
But when we do these sort of things, we have to, whenever we make a promise, I think we have to deliver on it also very quickly.
Yeah.
So I think the action part, it has to be hastened.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm sure that the government is aware of all of this and
Yeah.
is trying its level best. But I would like to be part of the machinery, to help fasten the process.
And I have no doubt you do
Yes.
an absolutely wonderful job. I know the question on Chabahar would lead to a question on Gwadar and then to the CPEC, and that would be a conversation for some other day, and I hope we get to meet you again. But before you leave, let me say this, that I can almost see it in the eyes, at least as a teacher, and I'm sure sir would agree. नानीहरुको आँखाबाट थाहा पाउँछ नि सर, है यिनीहरु कहिले attention दिइराख्छ र कहिले अर्को कुरा सोचिराख्छ क्या त. Today I can't see a single eye that is not inspired and giving their full attention to you, and just for that I want to thank you, right? But can you just, I know you've given a lot of messages throughout the day, I said a lot of mic drop moments. Let's just summarize, if you could just give one simple message to everybody watching here, and like our friend said, being inspired by you. They thought that Baravi fail ko person was the inspiration. Now you are that inspiration. What would you say to them?
I would say, whatever it is that you do, be led by a sense of purpose. I think very few people wake up feeling that their life is meaningful. But the fact that we have the capacity to have big dreams, it presents with us an opportunity to live life in a purposeful manner. So whenever you are doing a challenging thing like UPSC, it gives you an opportunity to, to wake up and to say that, my life has a meaning, it has purpose, and you give yourself that purpose. So whatever it is that you do, live your life with a sense of purpose. That's
Wow. Let me just say this, and I please take it in the right way. I doubt we'll ever meet again because तपाईको उडान यति माथि हुन्छ. शायद हामी फेरि भेट हुन्छ कि हुँदैन, but let me tell you, this is a conversation, as Tyrion Lannister would say, that I will treasure all my life. Yeah, it's been a brilliant. But let's not end it on a serious note. We also know that, do you know she's a grade 8 level guitarist? Let's if we've got a guitar, tune correct so well and hearing.
So this one is called Allegro, and Allegro, it stands for, something that you play very quickly, Allegro, right?
So much video. And your second piece, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So have you heard of cherry wine hosier? Anyone has heard of hosier?
Hosier, obviously.
Cherry wine, the song.
I'm sure we have.
Yes, okay. So just the guitar cover of the song.
I can just say, the way you play your guitar, it's so pure. Yeah, so many years of dedication. Everything about you is women empowerment and success. Yeah. On that note, guys, thank you so much, Jayasree. Thank you so much for accepting our.
Thank you for calling me.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure to be
You think?
here. It's been a pleasure, yes.
Anyway. So, guys, if you have any interactions to do, this is that alright? That's alright. Alright. Thank you, Jayasree. Thank you so much.